it's Legal Liz. I'm back, and today we're discussing my journey to become a judge. I'm going to tell you my legal story and all the steps and missteps that I took to get me to the place where I am today. And I'm also going to provide some steps that I feel as though will help you along your way as well. So stay with me. We'll be right back to chat. Step 1, getting into law school. So the first step that you have to take before you become an attorney is that you have to attend and graduate from a law school. So my individual story in regards to law school was this, that I accepted a scholarship to attend the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. So my dream of becoming an attorney began when I was in middle school. And I was always told that I liked to debate. I always told that I liked to argue. And I thought in my infantile sort of state of understanding the law that that's what all lawyers did. I also had an uncle, the late, great C.B. King, who represented Martin Luther King, who was also an inspiration for me. And I felt that I wanted to help people. So all of those things combined made me want to pursue becoming an attorney. So as I stated, the first step was for me to get into a law school. Like I said, I went to the University of Detroit Mercy because I received a scholarship. So when you are applying for law school, you should always keep in mind how are you going to fund your education. Are you going to seek out loans, grants, scholarships, pay for it with your own money? Whatever the case may be, you have to factor in the cost of law school, and it can be very expensive. Another aspect that you have to factor in is where you actually want to go. And for me, I wanted to get out of the state of Georgia. I had lived in the state of Georgia all my life, and I wanted to sort of broaden my horizons and see what else was out there. So I went north, very far north, where it was very, very cold, and I was not prepared for that. But it was one of the experiences that I learned from, and I believe that it made me a stronger person. Step 2, passing the bar exam. So when you graduate from law school, which takes 3 years to complete, you will sit for but first study for a bar exam. The bar exam that you take will be where you will be practicing. So you can take multiple bar exams, but the bar exam that I took was in the state in which I sought to practice and in the state in which I was born in, Georgia. So I took the bar exam for Georgia and passed it, and I became a licensed attorney. So in order for you to practice in a certain state, you must take and pass the bar exam for that state, and you must be sworn in to practice before the courts of that state. And don't get discouraged if you do not pass the bar the first time. You can always retake it. I understand that can be discouraging, especially if you work so hard, but you may want to consider taking bar exam courses. I did. I took a barbary course, and it really sort of helped me to hone in on the subjects that were typically tested on the bar exam. Step 3, practicing law. So I'm on this journey to judge. Went to law school, passed the bar, and now I'm a practicing attorney. The only issue with that is that when I graduated and I took the bar exam, there were no jobs. I graduated at the height of the recession in 2009, so all the offers that I had to be rescinded because nobody had any money, and therefore nobody had any jobs. So a lot of my first sort of foray into practicing law was sort of hustling and doing ad hoc things such as real estate closings, and I did a lot of wills and estates, will drafting, and will interpretation, contract drafting, so a lot of like transactional work. It wasn't until the market sort of opened up that I was offered a position with a corporate law firm in Atlanta. So I took the position, began working there, ultimately worked there for about 3 years before I wanted to transition into more trial-based work. The work that I was doing at the corporate law firm was more, it was litigation, but it was on the discovery pre-trial litigation aspect. And so for that reason, I wanted more actual hands-on trial experience. So that led me to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. I, at that time, was an attorney who had only done transactional civil work, so I had no criminal experience whatsoever. and I was able to get the job at the Fulton DA's office, and there I really took a liking towards going to trial, being in the courtroom, representing cases on behalf of the citizens of Fulton County, and also just really getting into the thick of these facts that were sometimes so horrible, but in my mind, I was helping to right a wrong. So for that reason, I stayed at the district attorney's office for almost 6 years, and I learned so much. And in that period, I learned how to try a case, I learned how to argue in court, I learned how to public speak, communicate, organizational skills, skills that I feel all attorneys need. I learned them at this job. So from my journey to ultimately becoming a judge, I had to go through different legal practices to see what it is that I actually was good at and to see what it is that I actually liked. So while I was at the district attorney's office, I was given an opportunity to return back to the same corporate law firm, but in this instance, I was actually going to be doing litigation for corporate clients. So with that, I wanted to get a well-rounded set of experiences, both transactional law, which I had initially, criminal law, which I had obtained from the district attorney's office, and now corporate litigation, which I was going to obtain from going back to. And that brings me to my next point. Never burn your bridges. You never know what bridge you may have to recross, and you never know who may reach out to you in the future because of what good work you have done in the past. So always keep that in mind, that you always want to keep your connections open. You always want to leave a place in good standing. You never know when you may have to recross a bridge or ask for a recommendation from some previous place that you left. And make sure you leave these places on good terms. So I returned back to my corporate law firm, and from there I was representing Fortune 100 companies. I was traveling, I was in court, and it was all federal litigation. From there, I was offered an opportunity to appear as a guest legal analyst on Court TV, doing so sporadically. It wasn't a full-time gig, but it was a gig in which I could go and talk to millions of viewers and just explain things and become a somewhat legal expert on different issues of law, mostly involving criminal law. So I took that opportunity, and while I had taken that opportunity, I was approached to actually apply for a judgeship. And that takes me to step 4, networking and taking risks. Step 4, networking and taking risks. So part of my journey to becoming a judge involves the insane amount of networking that I was doing to ultimately become the judge that I am today. So that included me joining organizations, talking with different sort of people who were in the area that I wanted to be in, and also not being afraid to do these sort of things. I know that sometimes networking has this stigma where you're begging people to help you, or you're sort of groveling and you have to somehow be another person in order to get somebody to help you. But networking is not that. Networking is just, should be a more organic thing where you're talking to people, you're meeting people, and you're not expecting to get a job right away, but you're just building connections such that if someone were to refer you, they can do it based on the basis that they actually know you. And it may lead to an ultimate job, but you shouldn't network in the sense that if I don't get a job out of this, then I failed at networking. No, networking is about putting the steps in place such that people remember you, and you may ultimately get a job out of it, you may ultimately get another opportunity, or it may lead to other networks that may be beneficial in the future. So how I became a judge was that I heard of a vacancy announcement with the court that I preside in through a member of the bar that I was sometimes practiced with. He sent me the announcement, and I applied, and I was appointed. And don't be afraid to take risks. I was able to do the Court TV sort of legal analyst reoccurring guest because I was approached by a friend who worked for the station. And honestly, when I was first approached, I was like, no, I'm just, I don't really want to do it. But I have if I had never taken that risk and said, you know what, I don't really have anything to lose, I checked with my firm, they said it was okay, I would have never known how much I enjoyed being in front of the camera and talking to you all about just different legal issues and educating people on aspects of my life that may be helpful to whomever is watching. So don't be afraid to take risks. You may not always land on your feet, but if you don't take the risk, you'll never know. Step 5, don't quit. So from law school to taking the bar to practicing the law to taking risks and networking, I've learned so much. But one of the most important things that I've learned is to don't quit and to keep going. No matter if you fail, if you win or you lose, because I've lost and won trials. But through all of it, I learned not to quit. Because if you quit, you will never achieve the dreams that you have set out for yourself. So as hard as it gets, as annoying as it gets, as challenging as it gets, always remember to keep going and don't quit, because there's always something greater over the horizon, and you'll never get to it if you just stop. So keep going. Your greatest victory is just ahead of you. And in doing that, you can achieve whatever you set out to achieve. And that's my journey. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram at legal_Liz. We'll be back for another legal chat, and in the meantime, take care and God bless.